There we go. There we go. Are we back? Can we... Mother ass. Okay. Can everybody hear me again? Please tell me that you can. That was terrible. Oh, man. Okay. Let's see here. Are we on? We're back! On? Oh, sorry, my computer died. I thought I plugged it in, but definitely did not. Okay, so we're back. Is everybody here? I just want to give it just a quick sec. Of course, all this will get cut out of the audio podcast, and it'll sound fantastic. Okay, we are recording. I was in the middle of, reading an Arwen quote or something. Okay, Jared's back. We're live. Yes, Andy, we're here. We're here! No making fun of my tabs! Pew pew! Uh-oh. Alright, let's see what's going on here. Let's see, I'm just getting the old, right there. Okay. And does it work when I go back to Scryfall? Yes, sir! Okay, I was right here. So it stood afterwards between Aragorn and Elrond and Aragorn, and they spoke no more of the matter. Aragorn wanted to marry Arwen, but Elrond said, no, not unless you're the king of Arnor and Gondor. But Aragorn went forth again into danger and toil, and while the world darkened and fear fell on Middle-earth, as the power of Sauron grew and Barad-dûr rose ever taller and stronger, Arwen remained in Rivendell. And when Aragorn was abroad, from afar she watched over him in thought. There it is. And in hope she made for him a great and kingly standard, such as only one might display who claimed the lordship of the Númenóreans and the inheritance of Elendil. Ooh, that's good stuff. That's Appendix A. That's of Aragorn and Arwen, or whatever it's called, when it tells about their meeting, their falling in love, their betrothal, their disallowance to be married by Elrond, Aragorn's rise to kingship, and eventually him giving up his life and passing on the high kingship of the Númenóreans to his son, and Arwen consequently, after giving up her own immortality, dying. And it's one of the saddest god dang parts in the book. Oh, and it's right at the end, sort of. The end is happy. It's a good ending. But then you have to read the appendices, and it talks about that one. And to me, when I read Appendix A, and I read the tale of Aragorn and Arwen, and I read that, and oh man, it just makes the whole story feel like a tragedy, like it was all for naught. Like it's the ultimate love and the ultimate sacrifice, and then the ultimate not betrayal, because death defines humanness in Tolkien, and death is the gift of God to go whither to the elves know not where. You go beyond the halls of waiting. You pass purgatory and the undying lands, which you could kind of look at that as purgatory. You pass that and you go back to wherever the god in Tolkien reserves for you, and nobody knows where that is, right? And because Aragorn knows that happens, and he is the blood of Númenor runs true in him, he doesn't fear death and gladly gives up his life when his turn to rule is over. But because the blood of Númenor doesn't run true in us, that makes us sad. And Arwen isn't a Númenórean, so she's sad, and she essentially dies of grief. And die she must, because she gives up her immortality for love earlier in her life. And it's very profound. It's very, very profound. And not often is it that we've gotten a card that represents a moment in the set like I thought we would. And this is going to be one of my criticisms, is we didn't get enough moments. And this, after reading this for the first time, that flavor text, and finding that bit in here where it talks about, I'm highlighting the text that it talks about what Arwen did. It talks about what Arwen did, and that's one of the moments. That's one of the moments that I was waiting for. So I'm happy I read that one. I'm happy I stopped there. See, that's why I'm happy I didn't filter to, like I filtered right to the legends. Here we go. Baragond of the Guard. I haven't read this one either. See, I didn't watch all the deck reveals yet. I'm taking my time. So I'm real live reading this right as we go. And for the first time, it's exciting for me. Baragond of the Guard, a 3/3 human soldier, makes sense. He's a human and a soldier. He could be a knight. I still think that the tower guards could be knights. But anyways, for one, like white and 3, whenever Baragond of the Guard or another human enters the battlefield under your control, creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain Vig until end of turn. That's pretty good. Or another human. So what gives us human tokens? Lots of things give us soldier tokens, but if there's any way to give us mass amounts of human tokens, even at instant speed, so it's like, okay, no blocks, you're alpha striking, and it's like, no, they go no blocks, you go, oh, instant speed humans, all my guys get like +9. That's kind of Crater Hoof-esque, right? What if we do this? Okay, let's go Scryfall. This is kind of how I do it. Human token. In the text type line, we want instant, and we're going to go commander that has at least white, because Baragond's white. Call of the Coppercoats, I was looking at that one. Rally the Throne is 2 instants. Strength of Arms gives you a human, but Call the Coppercoats, that gives us lots, doesn't it? Choose any number of target opponents. Create X11 white human soldier creature tokens where X is the number of creatures those opponents control. And you can strive it to like pick multiples and get a ton of human tokens. That's pretty good. Now, it doesn't need to be at instant speed. If we went well, human token, let's see. Adeline, yeah. Human creature token. When she attacks, you just get 3 more guys, so she gets 3 bigger, and then Baragond makes your whole team bigger. Oh, that's really good. Wow, because then those 3 human tokens are attacking for +2, like they're attacking for 9 now, those 3? Woo, that's pretty good. What else we got? What gives us multiples? What gives us multiples? Well, he goes right along with Faramir, doesn't he? At the beginning of your end step, if a creature don't care, ring tempts you. Choose somebody other than Faramir again, right? Because the ring doesn't tempt him. He's going to give you an army. He's gonna lead the troops. That's a good one. So I like looking into just a little bit of what else we get when I see something like that. This a little bit to me feels like Cathar's Crusade, which is a card that's pretty overplayed in my estimations these days, and I feel as though like I'm doing the thing like I said where I have a card from Tales of Middle-earth in every single one of my decks. If I'm playing my token deck, let's say, that has a lot of human tokens incidentally, and I'm playing a Cathar's Crusade, I would maybe consider this card. You can find this with a couple of the tutors that search for legendaries, also in white, that could find him, and he could act like a just as searchable Cathar's Crusade, because white can also search for enchantments. You can find him with the legendary searchers, and he still acts a little bit like a Cathar's Crusade or a Crater Hoof. And never mind if you're playing him in green-white, which is going to be a popular kind of color combination for Lord of the Rings decks, because those are the human decks, or the Gondor, the Aragorn, and the Hobbit decks. So I think that this guy is pretty cool. And I like Baragond. I like his character. And I like him in the book. And he talk about not ultimate sacrifice, but like you can't imagine really the struggle that he would go through. For movie buffs, he's another one of the guards of the Tower of Icthelion. Or he's like a guard at the top of Minas Tirith that is like Denethor's personal guard, you could call him, right? And he shows Pippin the ropes and shows him around and shows him where to get food and stuff. And Pippin and Baragon like pass in the night when Denethor is going crazy and he's gonna like burn himself, right? And Pippin says, "Stop him from doing anything. I gotta go find Gandalf. I gotta go find Gandalf." And Baragon, not only does he find where he is, where Denethor is essentially going to end his life, he actually has to kill one of the guards to get into Denethor to save Faramir's life. And his decision is how do you value somebody's life more than somebody else's life? It's essentially like Baragon runs into the Keeper of the Keys on the Rath Dinan, the Street of the Stewards or the Street of the Kings or whatever, where he's got to essentially murder this guard, his peer, his comrade, his fellow soldier, somebody who he probably knows and sees every day of his life as a professional soldier that live in the tower. And he has to kill him to get the keys to get in to save Faramir, the captain that he loves. How do you make that decision? So Baragon's decision there and his choice is quite a deep one when you look at it. And to have him on a card, it's not necessarily a moment that we're getting there, but he does have a few moments. And in the end, he is punished for his actions. He does have to relinquish his post, and he can never be a member of the guard of the Tower of Icthelion ever again. But King Elisar, Aragorn, does make him the personal guard to Prince Faramir, Prince of Ithilien, once he gives him that title. And so he has a kind of a tragic ending that he can't do the thing that he was looking forward to for his entire life to do, to guard the king, to be at the king's side in the place of reverence among all of the most revered people and things in all of Middle-earth. But it's bittersweet because he gets to be the guard of his Prince Faramir, who he loves. So that's a good point, or a good moment. And look at it's okay. Now I'm putting it together. See, this is the first time I've seen this. I'm putting it together. This is why it takes me a little while to get through these. Is Baragon, if you can, do something to stop any dreadful thing from happening. And he can't. He can't. And that's why that quote is important. If you can, do something to stop any dreadful thing from happening. And he can't. Denethor still takes his own life. And Gandalf's intervention can't even stop that. And not only that, Baragon has to do a dreadful thing in killing his peer to save Faramir. And again, it goes back to the value of somebody's life over somebody else's, right? And what that must be like to make that decision. So good stuff. Sorry, I'm just trying to keep up with some of the comments because I got them on like 87 different frickin' screens and stuff. Okay, here we go. Let's do another one. I haven't seen yet. Oh, look, there's a new Boromir. I don't know if I've seen that. That's the Commander deck Boromir. I don't know. Let me know in the comments which one you want me to do. There's another Denethor. I haven't seen him yet. Denethor and Denethor. Haven't seen him yet. I gotta split my focus now between... Okay, let's see. Sorry, I'm being quiet for a long time because it's easier to cut those out than for me to just jabber. Oh, here we go, Farmer Cotton. Never seen him before. Has he got 87 kids down there? Green, white, of course, that's the Hobbit colors. We know that by this point. 1/1 halfling peasant for green, white, X. Okay, that's cool. When Farmer Cotton enters... Oh, excuse me. It's all the dust from cutting the grass. When Farmer Cotton enters the battlefield, create X 1/1 white halfling creature tokens and X foods. Oh, wow. That's pretty good. That's pretty good because there's things that care about life gain in this deck, or in, I guess, in this deck, right? This is the Hobbit deck, so the Hobbit deck has like this food and life gain sub-theme, which is cool. I think Bilbo's the commander of this deck, and you're trying to get to 11-1 life. Anyways, so it began at last. I've been itching for trouble all this year. Yeah, he's looking to fight the ruffians that came up from the south with Sharky. And for those movie buffs, all of these Hobbit references that we're getting, I shouldn't say all, but a good number of them are coming from the end of the book, the chapter called The Scouring of the Shire, or Final Partings. And I think, did we get a Scouring of the Shire card? I don't know if we did. But we did get Final Partings a card, and I'm interested to look, now that we have the whole set, if we got a card for every chapter name in the book. I don't think that we did, because that would be like the whole set, because there's like so many chapters. But Farmer Cotton, he's Rosie Cotton's dad, and then they've got a few brothers as well, and these are the people in the same social order as Samwise Gamgee that he goes and gets when the four hobbits come back to the Shire and find it like all the trees are cut down and houses are abandoned and all the food is being rationed. This is very nearly like post-war Britain with food rations and destruction. And like if you think the Germans and the civilian bombings that happened in different parts of England, this is very much a representation of that in the Shire. It's not an allegory for it. It's not supposed to be that. But it is very much like that. And of course, totalitarian rule or fascist rule by Sharky, where the food is being rationed. But what that means is the ruffians take it all from the hobbits and give it all to Sharky, who the hobbits find out is Sauron at the end of the book. And when the hobbits overthrow the ruffian kind of gangs in the Battle of Bywater, which is another card, they go and march on to Bag End where Sharky is, and they find out it's Sauron, and they have to do that final confrontation. And it's exciting and sad. And one of the main themes of the book comes into play there, where Frodo doesn't want Sauron killed because he pities him. He feels bad for him that he's reduced to hurting other people, physically stealing their stuff, destroying their property, like vandalism. And that snowballs into that totalitarian or fascist rule, and Frodo pities him for that, and that's like the final straw that breaks his back, and he tries to kill Frodo, and essentially eventually that costs him his life. And it's kind of a just ending. It feels like a just ending for his atrocities, but it wasn't the ending that Frodo wanted. And then you're getting a taste of that really regal and distinguished and really worldly view that Frodo has since his journey. So it's a really good ending. It's a good ending, and they totally cut out of the movies. So totally cut out. There was some Twitter conversation about like, whoa, I just found out today that Sauron like jacked the Shire. I laughed. I had a good laugh at that. It was funny. So let's keep going. Let's keep going because I'm having fun. I'm just getting to the right screen here. I don't really know. Okay. Sorry, I'm got my runny nose because I had all dust and stuff. My eye doesn't look any better, does it? This one right here. Look at that. That's pretty ugly. That's pretty ugly. Let's do one more legend, then let's look at some cards. Any requests? Sorry, I wasn't really keeping up with the comments, but I did. Oh yeah, that was you. Simple Sand Castle. Simple, only ever watched the movies Sandcastle. That's fine. You know what? The movies are so synonymous with what people think Tolkien should look like, sound like, feel like, the emotional energy that you should get with the real heavy parts and the real action-packed parts. The vistas, the swooping landscapes really make people get into Tolkien because the movies are fantastic, right? The Lord of the Rings movies are so good. Here we go, last one. Gimli of the Glittering Caves. All right. Okay. Double strike, dwarf warrior. Okay, 1/1, dwarf warrior for red 2. Double strike. Whenever another legendary creature enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on Gimli of the Glittering Caves. Ooh. That feels like Animar, but legendary. Okay, so we're a little bit limited there, okay? When Gimli deals combat damage to a player, create a treasure token. Oh. Not create that many, hey? Nope, just create a. So you would get 2, because he's got double strike. Is that because he has a 2-handed axe? This doesn't make a lot of sense to me in that he's in a cave with an axe, but it cares about combat. This is fine. Gimli, after the Battle of Helm's Deep, and then after the coronation of Aragorn, goes to the Glittering Caves and says no dwarf could be unmoved by such loveliness. He's talking about the Glittering Caves of Aglarond, and he makes Legolas take a tour there, and then Legolas takes him on a tour of Fanghorn Forest. And I don't know. I don't really feel this one. I like that it gives you 2 treasures. It pays for itself probably in 1 hit. And other legendary creature makes him bigger. So if you go Gimli and then the next turn you go Legolas because they're friends, haha, right? You could put a +1/+1 counter on him, hit for 2, get a treasure, hit for 2, get a treasure. And therefore you're up a mana. You're up 3 mana. No, you're up. I guess. No. You hit, get a treasure, hit, get a treasure. So you get 2 treasures off your Gimli. Yeah, I'm not feeling this one. It's fine. Let's go back to the set at large here. Red eye jokes in the comments. Yeah, I feel ya. Here we go. Middle Earth previews. Let's talk about another moment because we had a really... Oh, frick. See, here's another one. I didn't look at this one yet. Oh, equip Halfling 1. Equip for 4. Hex. As long as it's your turn, equip creature has hexproof. Can't be blocked. Okay, because you're invisible. I get it. Whenever equip creature attacks alone, draw a card and lose 1 life. Ooh. That sounds like a ring tempts you kind of drawback that could have easily been stapled on there. But we're not going to get into that. I covered that on Commander Ad Populum. Let's go. Let's talk about the moment that is... Oh, man, look at this one. Enters the battlefield, the ring tempts you. And then it's a 3-drop mana rock. Oh, me and Brando are going to talk about that one. For sure. I want to talk about right here. Oh, now for wrath, now for ruin. Oh, this, okay. This is so multifaceted that, man. Yeah, beats pink eye. Got it. Okay. This moment in the films, in The Return of the King, is so epic. And easily Bernard Hill's best cinematic moment ever. And he's in like lots of big movies. Look him up, IMDb. He's the captain of Titanic, FYI, which was the greatest movie in the world ever before Return of the King. It's probably not a coincidence that he's in both movies because he's very good. Bernard Hill's portrayal of this moment as King Theoden. This is actually an Éomer line from the text, and they gave it to Theoden and combined kind of two speeches into one, and gave it to Theoden, and then the charge of the Rohirrim after the horn blows. Oh man, that is epic. Hey, like epic. Potentially one of the most epic moments in cinematic history. And I'm biased, but any Lord of the Rings buff will agree with me. I'm sure of it. So what does it do? Now for Wrath, now for Ruin. We're going to talk about the text after I read the card. White, 3, sorcery. Put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. They gain vigilance until end of turn. The ring tempts you. The ring tempts you kind of seems like a bonus tacked on there to make it feel more Lord of the Ringsy. Sure. +1 counter on each creature you control. They gain vigilance. That vigilance is really good because they can attack and block. They are fully immersed and ready for battle. Fantastic. They get a +1/+1 counter on each one of them because they're all hyped up because the horn blows and they're ready to fight, right? And if you're playing this in your white-green deck where you're playing things like Doubling Season, this ends up being like such a kick in the nuts for your opponent because all your creatures are going to get +2 in this case and still be able to block. And remember, these are counters, not +1 until end of turn. So if you can proliferate this like post now for Wrath, now for Ruin, that's kind of a mouthful. But this card I like it. It's good. And it depicts an epic moment. And we are going to copy this and we're going to go straight to the text because we're going to let that search for a minute. I posted this in the Discord and I posted this on Twitter. And let's give this a read. Stern now was Éomer's mood, and his mind clear again. He let blow the horns to rally the men to his banner that could come thither to him. For he thought to make a great shield wall at the last, and stand and fight there on foot till all fell, and do deeds of song on the field of Pelennor, though no man should be left in the west to remember the last king of the mark. So he rode to a green hillock, and there he set his banner, and the white horse ran rippling in the wind. We're going to keep going because this is unreal. Out of doubt, and this is what Éomer says. Instead of like yelling and ordering his troops, he goes into like verse. Like this is where he goes. And this is such a Tolkien thing to do, just to make it like so spur of the moment epic. Out of dart. I can't even do it. Out of doubt, out of dark to the day's rising. I come singing in the sun, sword unsheathing. To hope's end I rode, and to the heart's breaking. Now for wrath, now for ruin, and a red nightfall. Oh, so epic. So that's what he says. Then, these staves he spoke, yet laughed as he said them, for once more lust of battle was upon him, and he was still unscathed, and he was young, and he was king, the lord of a fell people. And lo, even as he laughed at despair, he looked up again at the black ships, and he lifted up his sword to defy them. And then wonder took him, and a great joy. And he cast his sword up into the sunlight and sang as he caught it. And all the eyes followed his gaze. And behold, upon the foremost ship a great standard broke, and the wind displayed it as she turned towards the Harlond. There flowered a white tree, and that was for Gondor. But 7 stars were about it, and the high crown above it, the signs of Elendil, that no lord had borne for years beyond count. And the stars flamed in the sunlight, and they were wrought of gems by Arwen, daughter of Elrond. And the crown was bright in the morning, for it was wrought of mithril and gold. Oh, epic. I couldn't do the reading very good justice. I'm not a good reader when I read out loud, but essentially they're overrun, and Éomer's battle frenzy has kind of run its course. This is post him thinking Éowyn is dead, and he decides that they're gonna die, and despair is about him and surrounding him and ready to collapse onto him, and he says, "This is it. We're gonna go out fighting, and even though nobody's ever gonna remember, if we don't die valiantly in battle, what's the point of even fighting or even being alive, even coming to this war, even being a country?" Right? He essentially says, this is what we're all put on this world to do. And he talks about coming here, day is upon us, sword unsheathing, hearts breaking. I was down, but now I'm here again, and I'm still here to do the same thing, whether my sister was killed or no. Now for wrath, now for ruin, and a red nightfall. And as soon as he says that, everybody's like, okay, yep, this is it. You're right. You're the king. And then who shows up? Aragorn and all of the knights from the southern fiefdoms of Gondor. And it's this sudden turn from bad to good, this catastrophic moment that Tolkien invented for the Lord of the Rings. And all of a sudden, Aragorn and Éomer are fighting, though all the foes of Mordor lie between them, and they drive towards each other like hammer and anvil and squash the remaining armies of Mordor and Minas Ithil. Minas Morgul. And it's one of the most epic parts in all of the text. And it's no wonder that the movie was so epic and so memorable and so emotional, because they drew on when Rohan showed up initially, right when they show up. That was like a pivotal part in the Battle of Pelennor Fields. And then this part, a very pivotal part in the Battle of Pelennor Fields. And they combined those in the movie with Theoden's speech. And I like this better. It's more emotional. It captures kind of all of what's going through Éomer since Theoden died. And then Aragorn comes and helps him. And really, it's like the last nail in the coffin of Aragorn will be the king, because he saves the other king, right? And very, very emotional part. Super cool stuff. Yeah. Now for wrath, now for ruin. Yeah, and then they made a card. And this is the moment. This is the moment that I was talking about, right? Where you get something that's so emotionally charged, so epic, so evocative, so provoking, and at the same time so deep and so meaningful for people, where you can be inspired by Éomer coming out of that despair and laughing in the face of utter defeat and utter dink stomping. And he's there and he's like, we're going to do things that are worthy of song, though nobody will ever sing about it. And you can find some inspiration in that. You can find some light in that. You can find light in the sudden change, the providential change, the fate of things that are meant to happen the way that the universe is supposed to make them happen. The wind from the south blows the ships upstream, and Aragorn meets Éomer and saves him and becomes king as a result. And you can find that goodness in these magic cards if you know the story, because they give us these moments, right? And if you didn't know that much, or if you've never read the book and if you've only ever saw the movies, you still get it. You still get it because it's still that moment where the Rohirrim save Gondor. It's still there. It's still there. You still get it. And you still get the speech, and it's still epic. It's still emotional. And this is it. I wish, you know what, again, that's my biggest criticism, they didn't give us more of these moments. And again, I haven't seen the whole set, Haven't seen the whole set, but I wish from what I saw we got more. There's another one here that I want to go through real quick. Rally the Hornburg is one. That's when Aragorn is like, we're gonna ride out and we're gonna mess these guys up and push them all back, right? And then they get saved when they ride out. And the moment that they get saved is represented on another card here. Man, Erkenbrand of Westfold. He's the guy that saves them in the book. I can't find it. It's like an uncommon too. I don't remember what it's called. Sorry, everybody. It's essentially the moment that they get saved. That the people at Helm's Deep get saved by whoever saves them, because it's different in the film and in the text. And Rally of the Hornburg is how it starts, and then it's another red card that helps them. Rob, you didn't realize that Tolkien invented that. You're talking about eucatastrophe? Sorry, comments are a little bit behind. Eucatastrophe, yeah. He called it that first. Initially, people thought it was like Deus Ex Machina, like intervention from higher power, or like God intervening is Deus Ex Machina, or however you say it, right? It's like a Latin word that means like divine intervention to save you, right? And in Tolkien, there isn't. It's arguable whether or not God, Eru, the One, intervenes or not. And it comes down to like free will. This is getting a little bit deeper than what I was thinking about when we were talking about spoilers. But it comes down to like free will versus everything playing out the way that God designed it to. Right? Like the omniscience of God made the entire universe happen exactly the way it is going to happen from the start of time all the way till the end of time, and free will doesn't exist because we're all just in this movie that God made, and it all is scripted the way that he knows it's going to happen. If that's the way that it should happen, then God would never intervene because he knows everything that's ever going to happen. And you have to weigh that against, or you have to factor in that free will in Middle-earth or Tolkien's Legendarium does actually exist, and characters have the opportunities to make good decisions, bad decisions, right or wrong decisions, evil or good decisions, right? And because of free will explicitly existing in Middle-earth, people make decisions, and throughout the history of Middle-earth that we have access to through all the texts that are available, you can find times where Tolkien foreshadowed a moment, or because this other thing happened, or because somebody made choices, or because Gandalf had the foresight for this or that, or Aragorn had some foresight, or Elrond had foresight because of this or that, or this or that. These are all conscious decisions that happen in the story. Everything happens exactly the way that it should for the story to play out exactly the way it does. Right? And the way that I kind of sum it up is exactly like that. Everything happens exactly the way that it does for the exact outcome that is the resultant story. And nearly any other way that you slice the events that happen in the show or in the book, if you slice it any other way, it doesn't happen the way that it does. And for that reason, you could call it luck, right? You could call it providence, you could call it fate, you could call it divine intervention, but it's everything in the universe that exists working together to create the resultant end to the story, exactly the way that it happens. And it has nothing to do with God intervening. It has all to do with the choices that the characters make and the things that happen as a result of those choices, and then the choices that they're presented with again and again and again, and they're exercising free will at every single time they open their mouth, and it happens to work out exactly the way that it does based on the decisions that they make based on their free will. And I know this doesn't really answer the Deus Ex Machina versus I guess free will, but it kind of does, doesn't it? It's not a divine intervention. It's not God intervening. It's the result of every decision that every character makes. Is again, that's how I describe it to people. And Tolkien calls that the opposite of catastrophe. Instead of the ultimate worst case scenario abruptly happening, it's the opposite of that. Everything came together for that sudden and immediate shift from bad to good. Everything happened the way that it should. Okay, so I'll give you an example. At the Battle of Pelennor Fields, when Gandalf meets the Witch King, and it happens in the film and the book, just in a different place, and then he goes up into the tower to stop Denethor from offing himself. If Gandalf went down onto the field to directly fight the Witch King, then Snowmane wouldn't have toppled over on Theoden, and Theoden wouldn't have died. And Éowyn wouldn't have fought the Witch King, because Gandalf would have been. And Éowyn wouldn't have killed the Witch King. And then the armies of Mordor and Minas Morgul would have rallied around the Witch King and probably not have lost. And even if Aragorn shows up, if by that time, if the Witch King hadn't died, Éomer's entire Rohan army was wiped out, then it wouldn't be 2 against 1. It wouldn't be Gondor from the south and Éomer from Rohan against Mordor. It would have been Rohan dead and Aragorn versus Mordor, and it just would have been a squash again. But because Denethor made the decisions that he did and sent Faramir out, Faramir gets shot, he comes, he's sick, Denethor goes crazy, Gandalf goes up, Éowyn has the opportunity to kill the Witch King, the armies rally around Éomer, Aragorn comes, it's 2 versus 1, it's a squash the other way. Gondor wins. Everything worked exactly the way that it did for things to happen the way that they're written into the book. And that's providence. That's the opposite of catastrophe. That's eucatastrophe. And that's a Tolkien thing. And it has nothing to do with the lack of free will. It has everything to do with free will and making decisions at every single turn for everything to happen exactly the way that it should. So it's a very cool thing about Tolkien, and one of the reasons I like it so much. And one of the stories, or one of the things I try to exemplify about magic. That's why it translates so well, and that's why this set is so goddamn important, is every decision I make in a Magic game, here's some Commander ad Populum stuff. Every decision I make in a Magic game is directly related to the end result. Every land I tap, every card I draw, everything that I do, every decision I make, every block, every scry, every lack of attack, every front 2 blue mana for a counterspell when I do or don't have one, all contributes to me winning or losing a game exactly how it should happen, based on infinite number of probabilities in the universe of us drawing any one or more of 100 or more cards in our decks, or less. And whether I win or lose, if I make sound gameplay decisions, I'm going to do the best that I can in the universe, and everything's just going to happen the way that it's going to happen. And then, if that's a magic example now, we can apply that to our life. Now we have two things in our life, Tolkien and magic, both doing this, telling us that if we make good, sound, educated decisions based on experience and best practices and our education and good morals, there's a Tolkien one, everything is going to happen the way that it should. And we have to be okay with that. And maybe you make a mistake, and maybe something doesn't work out in an ideal way for you, but you can't live in regret or denial or remorse or pity for yourself. And you have to continue going on, not regretting, because you made the best decision you could based on the information you had at the time, right? I think of this when I'm like, okay, should I have dropped that job offer? Should I have done this in school? Should I have pursued this more? Should I have I made this decision to buy, a big expensive house or whatever it is? Take out this loan or spend the money on that. Well, I did all those things for reasons, and all those reasons were based on my experience and education at the time and all of the things I was considering, and this is how it ended up, and I have to be okay with that. So, that's not where I thought that was going to go, but I'm glad I got that out, because that's some of what I'm going to be talking about at the Council of Command Fest, and that's some of what I want to talk about on another few pieces of Tales of Middle-earth content. So I hope that's valuable to people. I hope that you maybe can think that way. I'm telling you, it's very liberating. It's very liberating to say that's my decision and live with it, right? And again, you can trivialize it, and I kind of have a dark sense of humor, so I trivialize lots of things, but you can trivialize things and say, compare it to a game of Commander. No takesies, backsies, right? Yeah, I blocked, I stuck my guy out, and he got dink stomped by your 6/6. Now I don't have my Birds of Paradise anymore, and I'm 1 mana short, right? It's like I made the decision based on what I thought was the right play. And then alas, I don't top deck a land on turn 6, and it's like, oh, well, I guess I don't play my 6-drop, right? But I'm not dead because I blocked, right? So you can find meaning in other ways when even if things don't work out, right? And again, that's another Tolkien thing, maybe for next week, because we're a touch long. How many cards did we get through today? 4, 5? 4 or 5? Okay, Stone of Eric. Stone of Eric. This is the last one. The Stone of Eric. This was a giant stone that apparently Isildur brought over from Gondor. They're evacuating, the island's getting flooded, and Isildur's like, well, just hold off that wave for a minute, get some sandbags. I gotta load my 60-ton rock. Mm-hmm. The Stone of Eric is where Aragorn has to go to summon the army of the dead. And he says, this is where Isildur cursed you. This is where you got to come back, and we're going to mess some boys up. We're going to mess up the guys, the pirates, the corsairs of Umbar that are sailing up the ocean. And they got like Gondorian like guys trapped that they're making row for them, and the army of the dead comes, scares all the corsairs away. I don't even think in the book we get to know if they actually fight, but they all scram or get killed. And the liberated guys from Gondor that are being made to row upstream are like, oh yeah, we're free. We got lots of energy now. Let's go kill some orcs from Gondor. Not only that, the winds change. This providential wind change, this fated wind change that drives the boats upriver inland to speed them over to Gondor real fast, so Aragorn and Éomer can meet. It all starts at the Stone of Eric. That's where it happens. And this card's fantastic, by the way. This card, I think, is going to be the Lord of the Rings card that goes in my Bruvac deck. Legendary artifact for 1. If an opponent if a creature an opponent control would die, exile it instead. Scram. Get out of here. 2 tap. Sacrifice Stone of Eric. Exile target player's graveyard. Draw card. This is good. And you know what? I have to admit, in my Bruvac deck, I'm playing Tormod's Crypt. Yes, sir. 0 drop. Tap, sack, just exile a graveyard. This card's probably better than that, because it has a continuous effect and does the same thing that Tormod's Crypt does, plus it replaces itself. 3 mana total, where Tormod's Crypt is like 0 mana total. But I could play them both. I'm playing Soul Guide Lantern as well, which kind of does the same thing. You can exile target card, or you could tap, sack, pay 2 or whatever to exile all in a graveyard. So I got 2 or 3 Grave Hates in my Bruvac deck. This could be number 3 or 4. This one's good. Let's see here. What Malbeth the Seer. Let's see. At the Stone of Eric they shall stand again, and hear there and hear there a horn in the hills ringing. Oh yeah, who is it? Is it the Grey Company that hears the horn? I don't remember. But Stone Eric, that's where the Army of the Dead comes, and they mean business. So it's good. That's a good one. Did I see all the precons? No. That was the first half of the stream, is reading things that were previewed on the precons. I read 3 or 4 of the legends that I hadn't seen yet, and we had a few moments. And then a really long Aragorn and Éomer discussion, and fate and free will discussion. Let's do one more search here. We're going to do type. Nope, we're not going to do any type. We're going to do red. We're going to do, I think it's a rare, but we're going to go uncommon as well. We'll do one more search. Hey, we're getting anger back. Look at that. Blaspheme. We're getting a blasphemous act. That's cool. Book of Mazarbul. Call for Aid. That's a cool piece of art, hey? Oh, man, that is badass. Cavern Horde Dragon. That's a freaking card. Tell you that much. Display of Power. This one, Gandalf's going like toe-to-toe with Nazgul on Weathertop. That's a good one. Earthquake. Oh, man. Oh, man. Cool flavor text. I'm not even going to read it. Sorry. Fear, Fire, Foes. That's a good one. That's cool. Goblin Crater Maker. Uncle Brando's favorite new art. Guaranteed. Oh, man, that's good. Man, we got lots of good goblins, hey? I kind of want to make the Goblin Orc deck. I think that's the last question I want to hear. Goblin Orc deck? What's everybody building? And please, in the Discord, in the casual deck thread, give me your Goblin and Orc decks or includes and tag me, because I want to build that deck. I think the Orcs are some of my favorite characters. And I was actually reading. Oh, here it is. This is it. Rising of the Day. This is when Erkenbrand, he comes and he's okay. Rising of the Day. Red 2 enchantment. Creatures you control have haste. That's pretty good. Legendary creature control get +1/+0. That's good. And Voltron and or legendary tribal or legendary matters. Over the low hills, the horns were sounding. Hastening down the long slopes were 1,000 men on foot. Their swords were in their hand. Oh yeah, Erkenbrand! He's coming to save all the people in Helm's Deep. That's a good moment right there. That's frickin' epic. And they're just charging in because they found out that Theoden's back and he's ready to mess some fools up. And this is when they come and rue the day. This is like, look to my coming on the 5th day at dawn, right? When Gandalf comes down the hill at the end of Two Towers. This is that moment, but this is the moment when Erkenbrand does it from the book. Yeah, it's just a different guy. He's like the leader of Westfold, which is just a different part of Rohan. But, oh, look at that. Zealous Conscript. Oh, man, we got Siege Gang Commander. That's a cool one. Oh, here's my favorite orc, Grishnak. Oh, I wish he was red-black. But what I really like is we've got red orcs, we've got red-black orcs, and we've got black orcs. And those all signify different places where they're from. One more. Okay, here we go. Red, black, type, orc. Didn't do the search right, did I? Oh yeah, there we go. Now, I think... No, I was wrong. Hey, I don't have all the orcs here. I still don't have all the orcs. What am I doing wrong, everybody? Doesn't matter. I was trying to discern whether, like, the Mordor orcs were black, the Isengard orcs were black-red, and then the Moria orcs were red. I don't think that they did it that way. Look at that, 89 orcs. You could do an orc deck for sure. Oh, but some of them are like bad colors. Coercive Recruiter. You'd probably do like a red-black Lord of the Rings orc, like Mahur. And what was the other one? Ugluk. Oh, you could do Zergo. He's an orc, so you get white too. Oh man, okay, that's pretty good. Ugluk you could do. Ugluk is a good guy right here. This is the leader of the Sauron's orcs that come from Isengard that capture Merry and Pippin. I'm not going to read them, but the orcs really interest me. Their culture is just so unsolved. Their language is unsolved. They're just so much that we don't know about them because Tolkien didn't know about them. And their culture is just so tragic and so funny. Like, if you just take it out of context, I just love them. And I was reading my wife like snippets from different orc parts in Lord of the Rings last night. Oh man, so fun. So fun. Anyways, I gotta go. It's late. I gotta record with Brando tomorrow. Commander Cookout. Oh, we're doing a double recording. 376 and 377. Sure. I'm gonna do all the regular podcast stuff now. Social media is Commander Cookout or CCO everywhere. Thank you for being here, everybody. If you want to build the orc deck and you're a Patreon supporter, get it into the Discord. Tag me when you have a deck list. And I'll take a look because that's one that I do think that I want to build. And I want to stick to as much Lord of the Ringsiness as I can. If you're watching and you're not in the Discord, let me know on Twitter. Same thing. Just tag me at CCO Podcast there with a deck list. And I would be glad to take a look. Of course, if I'm ever talking about Lord of the Rings, feel free to jump in. I love to answer questions. I love to go deep. I love to talk theory. And I like to do that everywhere. If that's Facebook, if you're a Facebook user, if you're a Twitter user, if you're on Discord, I like all that stuff. And of course, Command Fest Edmonton, if you're a local or if you're listening to this after it's not live anymore, let me know if you're going to be there. We got the promo code for you to get a discount, CCO promo code there. And we are going to do some free play stuff. We're doing the Tailgate CCO pre-release where we're doing jamming games and just casual stuff, cracking packs and drinking beer after. And we've got a two-headed giant. I'm doing the Council of Command Fest where it's all Lord of the Rings all the time. And then all of Sunday, I'm just going to be jamming games all day. And of course, we'll have the CCO summer line there, the new shirts and hats and stickers. They're all made this week, and they're all getting picked up this week now that everything is done and ready to get packed, and it's going to be a great time. So, meet me there. Next week, no stream because I'm going to be in Edmonton. The following week, we're going to get into some of the deep stuff. Some of the stuff that's beyond just looking at cards. So that'll be June 23rd. June 23rd, as long as I'm in town. I'm not committing yet. But as of now, I think June 23rd. And we're going to get back into it. Can't wait. I love this set. By that time, I'll have read every single card. And probably half the Lord of the Rings again through flavor text quotes. So until then, everybody, I will see you next time.